So the 2 brings in. Stood high, mate. Hold. 4. Release to 4. You were fine yesterday. All the games from yesterday are in this, man. You're fine. No, there's no flops at all. You don't need that camera.
You leave the microphone.
Thank you. Deuce of diamonds. Yeah, 1,000.
Oh, Rob.
Hey, boss. Complete. Goodbye.
Try to channel my inner Adam. Remember that guy on the seat one outside? How long he held on to the short step. Try to channel it. 11.
So, welcome back to Manchester. Very, very quick turnaround on the feature table. I'm just trying to get a few bits and pieces set up, but just to give you a rundown, seat 1, Andrew Harper, seat 2, Alex Kong, seat 3, JP Round, seat 5, Simon Brooks, seat 6, John Jarvis, seat 7, John Seal. Bear with me, I will a couple more bits to sort out, and then we'll try and get some commentary. Not that I'm best at this game, but we'll do our best for the guys on the final table here.
Yes.
I was popped and she turned over coffee. We've got this.
Alright, new deal for you guys. Best of luck. You are currently on level 58, so 1,404 and 8. That is the left hand side.
Bring it in. Yeah.
Covered by an apex.
We walk into the monster.
Hey, but look, any opportunity.
We have a seat open and
So unfortunately we lost JP, first one to go out on this final table of 6.
good luck. First study. And we are now changing the game. No, I mean, I don't even know what the money was. No confirmation. Then there's a bring play high again. Complete. Race.
If I just call it, I don't got your back, I've got 2 fills of 3. It's parking, mate. I think it's like 110, 150 next year.
Yeah. So we're in the morning.
Yeah. He didn't JP.
He's the book cake.
Yeah. If they bad him, he'll up. One off the front.
Green as a bring it. Complete. We need to drive to on the screen. Complete.
The payouts now up on the screen for the players. We've lost JP, so the remaining 5 are all in the money. It's 155 for 5th, 185 for 4th, 280 for 3rd, 400 for 2nd, and 6 up top, plus the...
Juice is a bring it. Complete.
John, we get pictures of the front, please.
Yeah, sure.
You get pictures of the front.
The helicopter.
Do we get a windmill?
Yeah, it's a windmill. Only for a week. I hope you did that last night. Did you? And I didn't stay for it.
Oh, yeah.
It's on YouTube. Show me 11-year-old son.
I've got an asthma anyway.
Oh, is that live on YouTube?
Never been on TV.
I remember it because I had a piece of me who gave me 17 chicks. I thought, well, now it's this, so I get a nice page room, and then you never fucking
Yeah, when it came on, man, it's got a king. It's an open king. This game, I know. Or 3-4, and I found a tweet. Don't worry, it was 2 or 5 out on the race. These guys don't know about it.
Three is a ring.
So rough chip counts when these guys started at this final table. Andrew had 31,000, Alex 76,000. We lost JP, who was a short stack of 13,000. Simon Brook had 75,000. John had 54,000, and John Seal had 63,000.
Oh, I know. Yeah, sorry, it's fine. Apologies. Try that pop. Nice bluff.
High end and a low to come.
Nice bluff, sir. Was it not a bluff? No.
I feel okay. I don't hit the ace, I still.
Is there any sandwich in the middle of them 2 loads of bread, Chris? Is there any sandwich in the middle of them 2 loads of bread? Good.
That's a proper sandwich, that.
Also, the chicken burger the other day was absolutely fantastic. It's worth 1 at the moment.
I won well, mate. He said I just don't want to go like his finger. I don't look like that. Ah, really? That's pretty cool for your colours.
It's a
No. You're a low man to see with the hand.
Pair of sixes.
Well, it's good there with the Queen, so you're going to put me on the line.
Huge pot there for Simon Brooke. Shows the king that he had. In his whole card, the whole cards were, I think it was.
I thought I didn't have your map.
I think he might have a 6 here. He can't. And the 2 days, 15.
15, 3 days, 15, and limit 6-12.
Pressure on. I was like, I couldn't work out. I just couldn't work out. It's one of those, just close your eyes.
I thought I was ahead. I thought you'd have me on the low, so I thought you'd call it away.
By the low, I'm standing clumsy and expecting this to chop.
That's why I bet at the end, you know.
It's a tough one.
4 as a bring it? What is bring it? 15. If you level 15, 15, 6, 12.
What's that chase now?
Still high low for one hand. Now we are playing good high.
Stop home. So.
Yeah, so that's
I'm just trying to get cameras in to try and give you guys a better idea of what's going on here, but very difficult to do in this game because there's so many cards being shown around the table. It makes it then very difficult for us to get it on screen for you properly.
Six.
These guys are basically playing a round of each, and it's
We race.
the guys are basically playing a round of each. They play stud high.
I'll put the rest in.
I already put the your rest in.
Do like this is Lions 25-50.
So as I was saying, the guys are playing a round of each, stud high, low, and then a Raz format, similar to the games that you see in horse or the 8 game which you'll have seen streamed the other day.
Your chips, not passing.
Come on.
Moaned it in.
So got an all in. It's playing all the way down, and
Flip it over.
is Alex in seat 2, and he's got King 7764 showing. He's up against John Seal, who's got Ace Deuce 9 Deuce 3. So it's aces and deuces at the moment.
It was a 5. No way it was a 5. It was a 7. You would have dead.
Yeah, that would have been sick, wouldn't it, Philly? If you'd turned a 7
So
now.
it's Kings.
Turn a 7 now, turn a 2. 3-8 more.
Kings versus Kings and Sevens against Aces, and it's actually deuces full of Aces for John Seal. So John's going to get a full double up. We're just going to count that up now, see how much it is through Alex in seat 2. Alex left hand side of your screen, John Seal bottom right.
Oh, it was a sweat when I squeezed that. That was 5 or 7. It's a big one as well.
That would have been so sick if you'd hit a 7 or an 8 there. Or 9 in the 2.
You would have screamed there. Imagine when I make the 2 pair straight away, you're already right.
Three is a bringer.
So the bringing is 1,500, I think, and it's been raised up, or completed, shall I say, to 6,000 by Andrew in C1.
No, we already won 150. I said I just lost 150 minutes. That's like 135. It's only 30 minutes. Not like Alex. That's cool, bro.
Use some flaps to the ringer.
So John Seal shows the deuce, so he's going to bring in. Andrew folds, Alex folds, Simon folds, which means with the ace showing, John's going to complete, and John calls that. So we're going to see 2 more cards, and it's ace 6 of hearts for John now, and it's ace deuce of clubs for John Seal. And it's a bet and a call. And queen for John Jarvis, and another ace for John Seal. So he fires out a bet of 12,000. And that's good enough to take that down. He shows another deuce as well.
Deuce as well? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Juicy's Wild stud.
You need one survival and you found two.
Don't say Juicy's Wild too much in front of Simon. He still hasn't quite gotten over it yet. So Simon very much our chip leader here on this final table now. Probably followed by Alex in second, John Seal in third, John Jarvis in fourth, and then Andrew who's bringing
Two
it back
greens.
in
I still got one.
fifth place in that. Although he hasn't actually got, there's two stacks of yellows there. Actually, he's got one hidden in the yellow, so he's probably not a million miles off John Jarvis actually. So Simon's got deuce showing, so he brings in nine of diamonds showing for John Jarvis, and he completes, and John Seal gets out of the way, as does Andrew. Alec, left hand side of your screen. Decision on him, not to be confused with Chris Webber, who's railing. But looks like Chris Webber looks like he's in seat 3. And that's enough. And John Jarvis shows another 9, just to show that there's no nonsense going on there.
What's that?
And Tom Brady's getting ahead of the game and decided to put medals and bracelets on the table now. Which is astonishing, to be honest, quite astonishing. These normally come out when we get to the top 3, but Tom Brady's obviously going to speed the game up a little bit.
They're doing right anyway. Make sure.
Now we are playing rest. How many times did they play this anywhere in England? Probably the only game of this in hold them every night. 100% that's possible.
I was playing this game
Before give me a year.
before your lot. Hey, you're not born yet. You're maybe just started playing.
I played this on progress.
How many years?
I played this
Alex is busy with the discussion that he's probably been playing this game longer than most of the final table are born.
In fact, I played this in Vegas in 1988. What are we on now? Rest.
What game is it?
Grass.
Jesus, how can you pass that? I'm not allowed to pass it. I should be racing ball, isn't it?
I was thinking Simon was going to be there and he would have We just roughly had 9.
I played this game on the 70.
So the guys basically here just get dealt 2 cards face down, then it's some cards face up. Probably sounds 4 about right to me, and then one more. Maybe it's 5. and then they get the last one face down, and the best 5 card wins. If it's high, low, there's a potential split part of the pot, split in the middle for a high card hand and a low hand. And if it's the Raz one, then it's the lowest hand wins. Pretty much. There you go. There you go, folks. There's my explanation of stud round of each. So in everything other than the Raz round, it's the lowest card that's exposed that is needs to bring in. And then betting goes round, players can choose to complete. It's always fixed limit, but Andrew is all in. Andrew's got deuce 5-5, and Simon's 6-7-3. Andrew gets a 10, Jack for Simon, doesn't change very much. Another deuce for Andrew, gives him 2 pair. 8 for Andrew, and kings. The outs are minimal.
Oh, he's taking it. You don't look very happy.
I'm shot.
Andrew is going to scoop.
14-3.
Just going to count that up, so he's going to get a double up. He's shocked that it held. Simon had more overcards there than I think knew what to do with. In my best knowledge of how this game works.
Alignment of Sandcastle.
Simon, Stu Ward's asked if you could wave at the camera for him, please.
How come does he want to play? How come does he want to?
Very camp. He's drinking cocktails in Florida, so that level of campness.
That level of campness, well.
Yeah. For another 3 games.
The BDC of 1-2 cash.
Moving off spades. Bring it.
Even now king in the old not good anyway.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been saved because JP, who unfortunately exited this tournament quite quick, has got 25 minutes before he's playing another tournament. So, he's going to help me out on comms. Hi, JP.
Hi, Lee. When you say exit quite quickly, you mean into the final table?
Yes. No. But pretty much, you've got to remember these days, with all these tournaments going on here, I pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, this is just a load of final tables. That's all I see.
That's literally what it is. I mean, how many,
It's a conveyor belt.
how many today?
Champions, we've got this one. Yeah, unfortunately, the mix max is happening at the other end of the room because basically it clashed, so we won't be able to get that one on. So that's over right at the very end.
So are they on the final now?
Yeah, they've been playing the final for a while. We're going to hopefully get the Headhunter on here, and then fingers crossed we might get the Mississippi Straddle later on as well.
Cool. There's a lot going on, and then, like you say, I've just bought into the cash tournament. So, yeah, what was that, 5 people that you could have played today?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy for a Tuesday.
Use of clubs as a bring in.
So I think the game's high-low. So Andy in seat 1 with a bring-in, pulls the clubs. Alex has got a queen showing, looks like he wants to... No, he's just called for now. Simon got ace of hearts showing. John, we're playing high-low. Playing high-low, yeah. Simon completes with the ace of hearts. John's got the ace of clubs, so he's going to come along and pull that. Andy having played bring in lets it go. Alex, wondering if he's still got any of my final chips. Riffles, looks. We're having a ponder about this. Just arrived, as you know, to come and commentate. Alex has folded that. Stacks look relatively even. Have a quick look. John Jones in front of me, and the relative shorties, and Simon and Alex seem to have chips, but there's plenty. So both players have got 4 on 4th Street, and so both have ace-4 showing, and it's a bet and a quick call from John, bet from Simon, a quick call from John. Simon has the 8 of hearts, John's got 5 of diamonds, so remember we played stud high low, so Simon's board is ace-4, 8, couple of hearts, John's is ace-4, 5, so it's probably the interesting hand showing for this game. Simon's now checked him having the better ace showing first to act, but John looks like he's counting out. And Simon's quickly called this time, so we're going to see 6th Street, and our dealer is positioned there, up to Simon's hit a 6 and John's hit a 6, so we've got, again, 2 very, very, very similar boards. Simon's ace-8-6-4 showing, John ace-4-5-6 showing, so Simon's checked again, and John is looking and picks up the back. Simon doesn't look happy, but let's be honest, he never does. Someone told me he never looks happy when he plays poker. He told me he never looks happy doing anything, he never is, but he makes the call. So we're going to see 7th, so 7th obviously is face down. So the actual will still be on Simon.
Robert Lloyd,
very
Jones,
marginally
John
better
Murray,
than showing.
David Kingswell, James James, Michael Alexander, David Burke, Francis Hazelwood, Sammy Kamota, Steve Thomas.
Very little back on John, who just pushes the bit across. Simon's got a face on it, doesn't like it, but as I said, that is his face. It's basically just we've got to play the hand you dealt, both metaphorically and literally in this case. It's a horrible, horrible spot. He's made the call. So John will turn over. So John's got a low hand, so he's showing a king and a 3 and an 8. So John's got a 6 low, just stays high. No high hand for John, that I can see. Simon, he really doesn't seem to like this. So ace king for John is going to beat whatever Simon's kicker is. That's yeah. Clearly Simon knows about the low hand, but not as good as the 65 low. Think about the sub-base games. There's so many crying calls on 7 because you've invested so much in. You can beat what you can see. Very, very often right to call. You know, Simon's probably like an S. Well, like I said, maybe even just below there.
That's going to put John Seal very much as our chip leader here now, isn't it? It's a huge pot, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty big. There was a better call on every straight. Initially Simon the aggressor and then John took over. But
it's the lesson I've learned from commentating on the 8th game is what I thought would be the limit areas they weren't very expensive. Actually, once you get committed to a hand and you're calling bets down every street, it gets very, very expensive.
Really does, really does. John Jones just having a chat with Johnny Bairstow on his rail there. Tom Brady looks on, overseeing many tournaments, many tournaments.
And do you know what? It's been a packed cauldron pretty much all day long.
Yeah, it's been a good day. Just got a little rub there from Tom to
rub down from Tom Brady. I mean, it wasn't the best of it. I mean, he thought about it for a while, then wandered over, stumbled into it, but got there in the end.
The disappointing element of it is that it took him 10 minutes to come up with it. Yeah. I think it was, well, what I like to call, it was technically a good put down, just not that funny.
So for those, obviously you won't have heard that on the mic, but basically Tom came over and said, JP, you can't commentate whilst you're at the final. Yeah, it wasn't the best.
The thing is with Tom, because he's got a face like a smacked ass, he does make you, you can think, I'm genuinely in trouble here. I've genuinely done something wrong.
And then you realise he actually holds no authority whatsoever, so it doesn't really matter.
Right, so we're still another round. I think we're still on. I'm going to assume we're still playing stud high-low. Simon with a King 7 showing, and John Jones, have I got that right? Is it John Jones in the seat? John Jones, have I got that right? John Jones is the aggressor with Ace Jack 8. Sorry, was aggressor with Ace Jack, sorry. We've now come to 5th, and his board is Ace Jack 8, and Simon has King 7 6. So it's gone check. A couple of monsters on 6, and Simon gets a 3, and John gets a 2. You just have all the just these two in every part of the. So, if anyone is out there listening, I'm reasonably sure we're playing stuff high-low. We've got low possibilities, but the 3 low cards showing. We've got 7th Street, so Simon's put the bet out. There's a hell of a lot of John's remaining chips already in the middle. Simon, he's got a lot of chips in front of him, but a lot of them are 100. So the winner of this pot is going to go second in chips, I would say, behind John Steele. And the loser is going to very much be our shorty. He's made the call. Simon is showing a straight to the 7. It's good enough as John makes. Yeah, very nice. It's straight to the 7.
Pretty much just left John Jarvis on absolute fumes. You can see top right of your screen there. You can see the chips he's got in front of him on off our cam there, and it's not looking great.
Yeah, as I was saying, they heard me leave, but basically, I mean, Simon had a lot of chips in front of him, but they were just the ways. So the loser of that part was in serious trouble. And the winner, which was probably gone second in chips as a result.
Yeah. 63 runners in the Mississippi Straddle.
How's that playing? Is that started at 9, right? Does that start at 9?
Yeah,
I think it did, didn't it? So that's going to be.
Is it a break? Is it a break? I must admit, one stage, Chris, I thought it was going to be you and I head to it.
You want the break, guys?
I'm out.
Yeah.
I've out 4 times. Twice, it's split twice. And you're the best at doing it. Race of hundreds or race of hundreds or not? Oh yeah, well that's a massive amount of money when you and Ace Ace 2.
You and him, man. You got your...
Yeah, I thought we had luck.
When did it go?
2K, 816. 8. Both definitely not. 8K. 8K, 16K.
So you don't need the hundreds anymore?
I think so. And I don't have the next one, so... But the next one is just 1,000, so I think the hundreds will go out.
Okay, they're on a break, I'll get them to you.
Wait, everyone's up with 5 minutes. Everyone's up with 5 minutes.
You just say that.
Just to confirm, I don't know if anyone heard it. The break's going to be 5 minutes officially. There's 8 minutes show on the club. All the players have agreed it's only going to be 5. So we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully they'll all be back within that time. We can just get going again. Lee's basically left me alone with the microphone. I wonder if I might maybe wander around some of the other tournaments. See what's going on. See if anyone's interacting. Oh, Bayern Munich have scored, so that's that means I haven't lost that bet. They're on a -1, so all good. Right, okay, right, guys. They are actually taking the full break, so there's 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes to go. So if you're out there, does he realise what he's doing to that camera? Any ladies out there enjoying that in the dealer? No, you're welcome. We'll be back in 7.
I think I've just about got it right. I think. Yeah, it's a really difficult game. It's normally be a flop pack, so it's what I'm releasing flop. Whereas with this, it's so difficult to cast, but I think that's a better view for people to see if it's going on. Yeah, trust me. Don't worry. No worries.
King high enough to I don't see anything like a king high in the whole pot.
So John's mate was like, he doesn't know anything about Meg. Was like, I'm watching this. This is fucking boring. Unless you wiggle your cock around. So me and Celie for the rest of the time, they're just doing this. Oh, the camera's going right. Any of the two any speed, sure was we're going to go with it.
So welcome back to Manchester. We've had a little change around of the camera whilst we've been on the break as well, so hopefully, because it's not a game that's going to flop, so I've tried resetting the cameras to hopefully try and give you guys a bit more idea of what's going on. A little bit more action, hopefully. So bottom of the screen, you can just see the players, see what's going on. Hopefully top of the screen now, you'll get a good image of what's going on. And the cards will hopefully show up. Fingers crossed. So they're still playing high-low here at the moment, so...
$16K, this big bet 16K, is back is how many? Zero. How many get paid at the end of that?
What's the same now?
2 on diamonds. Can you point it?
I'll tell you what, I'll stop the screen
I also have no idea what's going on.
You are in there.
Okay, apologies for that. I have, of all people, Brian Yates, who's in the headhunter, wanted to know how many he played in his tournament, and he decided to straight over to me and ask the question, JP, which is, really handy, isn't it?
Well, Brian, this is the new Brian as well, isn't it? We were discussing.
New Brian Yates.
Yeah, I love Brian.
So, for you guys at home, I'm hoping, if your quality of what you're watching, we're not going to pick up all the cards, so we will talk you through what's on show, but hopefully you've got a better image now to see what's happening during each game.
I've been trying to get a better image for years, Lee. Both out of the table and away from it. So the action on the table, there's 3 players have gone to 5th Street. Stud high-low, I'm assuming, and they come back. Looks like Alex has King 12-5-6. Oh, John's all in. He has 4 diamonds showing.
Checking this down, JP?
Well, no. So, John's got 4 diamonds showing. Not looking good. 12. He's got 2 low cards, and Simon's board is 7-7-9 Jack. Alex is 5-6-4 King. Doesn't look happy. Chopping his cards about. Action's on him. So pair of aces actually. No, aces and 5s for John. Looks like John's going to have a massive triple.
Unless Alex got a low.
So a pair of 4s. Can't speak. 4, 5, 6, 8.
John's dodged a little bit there, and going to get triple up, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just checking. Yeah, Brooksy didn't have the. Straight back in. Straight back in.
Against 2 other players there, JP, to actually scoop the lot, which was what, 2 pair?
2 pair, yeah. His board was great with diamonds.
Yeah.
2 pair was good enough. And
I needed a low as well.
I'm pretty sure because John is right in front of us. He picked up his 7th card in front of us, and I think he got the ace on 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think he needed it. Yeah, just confirm. That's all then. Yeah. Nice. So, Alex is going to have to bring in with player out, seat 2. As Chris Webber looks on. Simon folds. John with his newly acquired chips as a riffle. It looks like Alex, unless the blinds have, unless the bets have rocketed, looks like Alex has come in for a lot rather than just the compulsory bring-in. John has raised them, and it looks like Alex counted out a call. So John's raised it up. So 3 of hearts showing for Alex, 10 of diamonds.
John's effectively saying, I'm getting my chips in there.
Not necessarily. I think he's got enough that he gets enough to do that. No, you're right, Lee. Yeah, that's half his stack. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what he's decided to. So it's Jack 3 for Alex first to act. John counts out the call. Decides he's going to wait. And 8 for Alex, 8 for John. So John's board now 8, 9, 10, 2 diamonds. In go the rest of the chips. Alex quickly calls. Cards will be on their backs. And we're playing stud high low, so there's all sorts of possibilities. Both put actually 2 low cards showing for Alex as well. So 2 pair. 2 pair for John and 2, 3, 4. How many hearts can I say? 3 hearts. Number 8. Paired is 8. Paired is 8. He's looking. No, I don't think it is. No, there's no lows, is there? It's very unlikely to have a low. It's got 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 3, 4, 8. So,
John is waiting to see whether Alex has got a low.
Alex doesn't look happy. It might be a massive. 2 pair. He's got 4s.
He's got 2, another 4, another 4.
2, 3, 4, 8. So another very nice double.
Another
He's
double.
right
So he's tripled up and now doubled up. And it really was down to absolute views, wasn't it?
He's right back in. Alex is a micro stack now.
What did you say to him as he walked away from the table when they went?
I can't remember the exact words, but along the lines of anything could happen or good luck. Or,
I believe you said you're still in.
yeah, there was true facts are there, and a lot of the time it's less like Hold'em in terms of waiting for the spot. Sometimes the spot comes to you.
Yeah.
My situation earlier was the antis were killing me every time. Like no opportunity to bring in. I saw a king face up. That's enough. As it happens, you look at an aces behind. We still had a bit of a sweat. Had 1 out on 7th, missed it. There comes Russ. Give his mate a little tap. Yeah, can't be asked to rail his mate. Just thinks sod that. You know, I've heard no one likes Jonathan Seal anyway. Although I've just found out he's really called. So his rail is departing the building. Yeah, right. So last hand of stuff by low. John has had to bring in with the 3 of diamonds. Actions on Alex. Queen of diamonds showing. Very few chips. And for me, this is. For me, I know I reiterate, I'm the person who's out on the bubble. These guys are still in. But for me, that's a pretty much compulsory all in because the antis, the bring-ins, the antis just kill you. So he decides to fold, wait for a better spot. Simon on the 7 of spades as a thing. Reaches for a stack of yellows, counts them out. And ripples the 8,000 that the bet would be. Going to take a while and decides to make the call. So going to be keep it small. So 6 for Simon, 6, 7 and ace for John. So John's got the better hand. He pushes out a bet of ace 3. Is it working? Oh, somebody. Who is it? Who's that? Ian Wet. And let us know if you can hear me now, mate. Back on Lee's mic. Definitely double checked it before, but there was some quality material in there as well. Very disappointed in that. Yeah, 816 is correct. So apologies, apparently no one's been able to hear anything I've said for a while. So Simon led out on a board of 5, 6, 7, 8, which isn't bad in the high-low. Shows the 4, had the straight. I am starting to be a little concerned about our friend Chris Webber. He's allegedly trying to grow a beard in my image. He's now seen me with a massive gin and tonic full of juniper berries, and I come back, and what do I find Chris drinking? He's more or less in my seat. What's all this about?
JP is my hero. I have a picture of JP in my bathroom every day. I wake up and I look at JP and I think, if only I could be more like JP.
It's kind of how I feel about Chris when it comes to poker. It ends there, but you know. Right, Alex has moved all in. Okay, we've got lots of microphone swap in. Alex has moved all in with his 4. He had the bring in, so he decided just to jam it straight in. 4 of spades showing. Simon, actions on Simon Brook with the queen of spades show. I presume queen of heart. We'll get there in the end. Queen of clubs, that is. And we will have moved to stud high in this hand. So actions come round to John. 7 of hearts is his up card. I'm seeing pictures being taken. I just saw Martin walking away with the medal, Matthew Redfern walking away with the medal, and so somehow Alex's micro stack got all the way through, and behind his 4 he had a pair of aces. You see that, Lee? So he had the option. Well, he had the compulsory bring in. Yeah, decides to shove it all in. He has to get action in that spot. That could never get through, and it does. And he had 2 aces behind.
Unbelievable.
But you'd rather win a little one than lose a big one, of course. Simon going through his yogic exercises.
Every time you speak, turn around and watch.
Just doing a little test on microphone. Yeah, it looks like volume bar. So yeah, Ian or Dan, if you let Chris know if you can hear us. Appreciate you railing, and obviously railing Simon all the way to that medal. I will not specify as to its colour. We have had a bring in from Simon, stud high with his 2. John's completed with the ace of spades showing, and Simon's folded face up with his deuce 6, 7. Is this what you've just sent me? Is this what you've just sent me? So, Chris, it looks like someone switched you off. Well, I don't know what I'm looking at here. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not sure. I'm confused. They've just been added to the Team Gotham chat, which is a great honour. We discussed it earlier. And Chris is looking at me like it's something I should be doing. I don't know what it is. He's also literally moving like someone switched him off. That's not a massive contradiction in terms. Right, there's some action. We're playing stud high. So Alex has got it all in with a 5 up. John's got 2s and a 4. Alex has got 5s and a 6. So we're all in. Alex hits 2 pair on 4th. John's got a 7. King. So it's 2 pair beating deuces. We have a 3. We have another 3. Now what's going on? So we've got the down card. John may be slow rolling, so John's going to need to hit a king. He's going to need to hit 7 deuce or king for the win. It's a 9. So Alex will double. It's a great day, Lee. Another final table been added to Team Gotham. I'm hugely honoured.
Absolutely.
Hugely honoured.
I've just changed the graphics at the bottom of the screen as well, guys. So hopefully that makes a bit more sense as to where the players are sort of sat to what you're watching. Because I know it's difficult to see who's sat where because we put the bigger picture on. But hopefully that makes a bit more sense as well.
You now have Simon in a tiny little box. I like it. Simon, you're in a tiny little box. You're in a tiny little box. Can you do the Rob Brydon man in a box voice? No. Thank you for joining in, though. Appreciate it. Am I going to regret this? I'm like, yeah, fair enough. I was curious. It could have been Alfred, so you know we'll take that. Is Rita officially in? So, still playing stud high, and Andy has had the bring in with the 4 face up. Alex with his newfound chips completed with the jack. Andy doesn't like it and lets it go. And away we go. We are. This will be the last hand of stud high. And there's a couple of 4s out there. It'll be the 4 of diamonds. Andy again. It's amazing how this happens so often, that the short stack can so regularly have the bring in. It's really crippling when it happens to you. For those who don't play too many of these stud-based games, not that I'm any kind of expert myself, it's not like Hold'em where you can just jam them in. You've got to really wait, and it can be death by 1,000 cuts sometimes. So Simon made the completion with 6 of hearts showing. John Seal has called with jack, and Andy has folded. So we're heads up to 4th Street. 6-7 showing for Simon. Action will be on John with the jack 10. And he has checked. Simon reaching for chips. Puts them out there. 8-16 of the levels, just to confirm. John's made the call. Couple of decent stacks, these two. They seem to have all the pink chips on the table. So they're both paired on 5th. Simon pairing his 6 and John pairing his jack. So action will still be on Jonathan Seal. And it goes check. No, with the dealer and myself, we all thought it was check, but Simon was still pondering. And he reaches for chips and John folds. So some serious strength shown by Simon there, but no cards shown as he hands them to the dealer face down. Alex announcing he definitely didn't have three jacks, and we're off to play a round of Raz. Chris Webber claiming to understand how Raz works. I know from experience this is not entirely true.
Are we playing Raz now?
We're about to play the first hand of Raz.
I can do Raz. That's okay. Yeah.
Lee's excited. Lee's getting involved. So there's a couple of jacks out there. One of them's going to have the bring in. I think we reverse in Raz, so it's going to be the heart. So Simon's going to chuck his 2,000 bring in over the line. Dealer's confused because the game's changed. Forgetting who people are. John has folded. Jonathan has completed with the ace. Simon shows a king to go with his jack. Folds. And John had a lovely starting hand of ace 3-8, especially against all those up cards. That was pretty tasty. Just had a 6 and a jack to really get through.
Apologies, I'll just wait for a second there, JP, because we've run out of levels.
In which tournament?
This tournament.
So the tournament where we discussed with Tom that the structure was too fast. Yeah. We've actually run out of the levels as stipulated. Brilliant. Yeah. So does that mean we just play this level forever?
No, Tom's just...
What, roll them back?
Tom's just... Because obviously they can't put these levels on the screen. It's very difficult for them. So they, the dealers have a little piece of paper with the levels. So they know what to go to. Yeah. And he's kind of gone, I've got no more after this one. So Tom, I said, Tom, can you add a few more levels onto this, please? So he's doing that now.
And we're still 10 minutes after this level, is that right? Is that us top right?
We're top
9:49.
We're top right, yeah.
So up cards here. So there's been a couple of folds already. There's a king again picking on the short stack. It's ridiculous how often Andy Parrish has had the bring in this. So it does happen. And then Simon and John look like they're set to clash again with an ace and a 3 show. An ace for Simon, 3 for John. Now John gets an ace to go with it. Simon gets an 8. Not the worst card in the world, but he's playing against ace 3. A quick bet from John, quick call from Simon. This time Simon gets the 3, but John gets the 2. So John's board is ace 2's 3. Your board doesn't get any better than that in Raz. It's pretty obvious. read a quote from one of the pros years ago. Said it took him 5 minutes to learn this to play, so he could play the horse tournaments at the World Series. Then they both get high cards on 6, which is a 10 for Simon, Jack for John. So Simon actually has the best hand showing technically with 10 high. So he has checked it to John. Ace 3, 8, 10 on his board. So his best possible hand at the moment for Simon is a made 8. And if anyone's listening concerned, I've moved a long way away from the play. The action on 6 then has the action on 7th because the last card is face down. So the boards do not change. Simon has checked. And John pushes out the bet. So I'm looking at what's got to be the best part of 80k in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'd say 80k plus. I'm sure some of the there's some experts railing, so I'm sure they can probably let us know exactly based on the ones we've had so far. And Simon had rolled up 4s basically, or not rolled up, but he had two 4s behind, and then got a third 4 on 7th, which gives him no help. John shows that he actually was double paired as well. So Simon was right to chase it all the way. Was right to fold when he folded.
So Andrew very much our short stack here, isn't he? Very
much. And I was just saying, I don't know if you heard me, Lee, and I've seen it happen through the tournament, that it just, I don't know why it happens, Sod's Law, Murphy's Law, when you're short, the amount of times you get the bring-in is statistically phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that's been happening.
Say that,
That's been happening to him. You know Adam Weir, who's having a good week. He was on my starting table, and he got short, and it just kept happening. It was brutal. I had a little turn with it, and just so bizarre. But also, I've had multiple orbits of not having it at all.
Absolutely.
So we are still playing Raz, and we have Queen up for John Seal. So John's going to have the bring-in. Massive pot is just taken. A couple of quick folds from Andy and Alex. Simon folds. John Seal, that was with a bring-in. John Jarvis is then going to complete it with his 4 showing. John Seal has a look at John Jarvis's chips and folds. So John Jarvis picks up the blinds and antes and the bring-in. So I'm looking at John's stack, and it's got to be it's got to be 180. Best part of 200k in for John. 50 for that was John Seal. 50 for John Jarvis. Simon. Looking like, for 60, 65 for Simon, 40 and a bit for Alex, and fumes for Andy. And I know we're playing Raz. I was about to say he's got the bring-in again, but no, it's I'll be amazed if we don't see Andy's chips go across the line with scorch marks when it does get round to him. So, and he doesn't. No, he lets them go. So. Whoa. Well, it was a strange fold, but it looks like it was inspired because Alex has completed and everybody's folded, and then shows ace 3, 4. So what do I know? Doing things that I certainly wouldn't have thought of. We have been 5-handed for a long time. What is it? Tuesday. So hard to keep track of days. I think it's Tuesday today, isn't it? Yeah. I bubbled this tournament last Thursday. And we haven't lost a player since.
Yeah.
That's
it
how
feels
it feels
a little bit like that.
I like how in my exact seat they've put the medals and the bracelet, Lee, for the extra rub.
Absolutely.
Stu giving me messages on comms, on chat about the comms. Missing you, Stu. Not the same without you. He's like the Chris Lowe to my Neil Tennant.
West End girls.
Yeah, something like that. The yin to my yang, the Penfold to my Danger Mouse. And we will see Stu on Saturday, where a very grumpy jet-lagged Stu will come and do some comms. I'm almost certain. Well, he's not going to play the Raz, is he? Let's be honest. So, can't wait. Appreciate the message, Stu. I've now missed that entire hand. Doesn't look like much happened. But Andy has gone down to an ante, less than an ante.
Wow. I mean, but what's the logic in that, JP?
Everyone plays differently. I just don't know. I like to say that. I hadn't seen him have any spots where you would have got it until that one with the deuce up.
But the problem he's got now is
and Chris with your massive gin and tonic.
Whether he's hanging on for what's he hanging on for? Because the most he's going to win now is that. I know. But surely I can understand players hanging on because they're hoping somebody else might bust, maybe, or whatever it is. But there's got to be a level where you go, look, I've got to now just get it in and just hope I get lucky.
Do you know what? We all play. Oh, we've changed the game, by the way. So we've moved to the dealer buttons in front of Andy. So we will have moved back to stud high low. Andy has queen up, and he's automatically going to be all in from his bring in. The bring in itself, sorry, from his ante. The bring in was on John Jarvis. He's brought him with 2 of hearts, and everybody's called. So I was about to say Andy's got maximum value, but he really had no more value, did he? He's just the antes he can win. So John Seals paired his 7. So John's got 7 show, but there's been no action. Yeah, so people maybe just do want to have that spot. Nobody needs to take any silly risks. It's
all likely just to check
I think that's very possible.
Yeah,
I think unless you know you can beat everything you can see, there's very little point, I suppose, and it is that extra spot. So John's board is just a pair of 7s is best show. We're going to go all the way to 7th. So John's pair of 7s with a 3 and a 6. Ace Deuce King 9 for the other John. Simon's got a bag of spanners. He has got a pair of 3s, so he's got something with that. There's 10 Jack Queen down the end for Alex, and straight cards actually for Andy. So he's got a shot based on what we can see.
So John Seal shows 2 pair.
I just had Chris Webber reaching towards my crotch. That was very disturbing. He told me there was no initiation. Right, and so he's
going to need a jack.
I'm guessing Andy's blind, so
he's going to need a jack.
He has a king. King no good. Really? John's 2 pair.
And we're going to lose Andrew.
So we lose Andy in the first cash position. Walks around, shakes hands with all players. If you head over to the to Frankie there on the phone, mate. Well played, mate. Well, he's doing that walk like we've all done. You know, he's very dejected right now. Probably reflect and be really happy. He was saying, he was asking before. He said, I think the exact words were, "I don't want to sound like a complete nerd, but will there be a final table photo? Because my mum really wants me to see him one." So I just think that's absolutely lovely. What APAT's all about, and fair play. So that's out there. Coverage of a table's out there forever. You're going to look through the APAT archives. Don't look at Blackpool. There's too many drunk people on that one. Right, so we're playing stud high low. We've got a 5, 6, 7, 8 showing across the 4 players. So there's a nice starting hand between them. And John Jarvis has to bring in with 2. John Seal will complete. Reasonably
Alex
quickly.
Is
and then
going
Alex,
for it,
yeah, Alex has raised it up. So Alex has a 6 showing. John has the 8, both in diamonds. Simon folds with 7 of hearts. So 7 of hearts, 5 of hearts have been folded. And John has made the call, or has he raised? Looks like a call. Yep.
So Alex is Alex left-hand side of your screen, and John is bottom right.
They both get a 5 on 4th. So we've got 5, 8 versus chips. Fires them out. John Alex gets a jack, and John pairs his 8. So John will be first to act with a pair of 8s showing. This time he reaches for chips.
John Jarvis.
Alex very, 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 very quickly puts them in, and that's 5, Jack, King. I think that's it. I think those are all his outs.
And Alex says he good.
Like it.
And we're going to lose Alex.
No, yes it is, sorry. I was confused by the fact that Alex hadn't got up yet. But yeah, we are down to 3 players. I'm not in trouble, Lee. The F&B manager's just been over to ask my name. The reason for that is Danny Optoff messaged me the other week, knowing my passion for beer, and said he has this massive tradition of drinking a specific Belgian beer called Rochefort 10 during a cycle race. I forget the name of it, which is this Sunday. And he said, will that be possible in the casino? I said, no, but I'm sure we can find somewhere we buy some and bring them in. So Tracy, the F&B manager, has very kindly allowed that to happen. So I'll be beer shopping tomorrow. So if I don't turn up tomorrow, you know why.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah,
I'm in a tap room.
Yeah.
Enjoying the best. I've got the Belgian shirt, the Belgian beers. Everything's good with the world. Yeah, placards for next year has been sorted, John. Yeah. So Lee, a lot of talk during this, and of course you can have it for the horse and for the 8 game placards to show what the game is. Now I think with all the people in the APAC community, all different businesses, self-employed people, great opportunity for someone to just get themselves a little bit of free branding. If they have them made, yeah, or we can have them made and put their brand on them and they pay for them. Yeah, brand and number. So we've got some actions. So Simon's got a pair of 10 showing.
Quick fire action.
And, yeah.
No, I think it's a very good idea. I mean, we have last year we did get some made up, and I think the card room managed to lose them, but they were just pretty much paper card things to do, whatever. Yeah, but yes, I mean, there's not many play. I mean, where else? Tell me, where else do you play an 8 game?
Yeah,
Vegas.
No, absolutely.
I mean, they play one of the World Series.
Absolutely.
But there's only one I think they play. Well, maybe they play 2, but that's about it.
I think you're right. I think they play like 1,500 one or 2.5K, and then the really big one. What's the game, gentlemen? High-low. So we've got 2 more hands of high-low, and Simon's had the bring in with the 4 of hearts showing, and it's been called with a 10 from John Jarvis, and John Seal has the ace. So they're just going to be Jarvis and Seal now rather than. A bit like Robson and Jerome. So John has the best hand shown. See, I've done it. Seal has the best hand shown with ace-3. Jarvis has 10-8 of spades. Simon has 4-6. They've all checked. Queen for Simon, 2 for Jarvis, another ace for Seal. You know what? When you're running good, you're running good. And swaps it, but all in good fun. Can't get away with that. That's a fold. And John Seal will pick up another small pot to add to his very large stack. I think if John were to now stack all his chips end to end, they are actually taller than him. Then he could have done that in level 3, to be fair. John apparently didn't know what game we were playing, so it's stud high. 3 of diamonds for Seal will be the bring-in. Simon has king of spades showing, and Jarvis has the 9 of spades. Simon folds. Both fold. Buys it without even doing anything. So I would say at a quick glance and a guess that John has at least 60% of the chips in play. Simon's got about 60k. Jarvis has got about 23, I think. And John Seale's got the rest basically. And he has the bring in, but this time, so bring in with the 7. Jarvis has completed with the 8 of diamonds. It's very little behind, but looks like John's had a bag of spanners, so he's gonna let Simon have that. Or rather let John Jarvis have that. As Alex looks on, ponders what could have been, much like myself. And we are back around to Raz, Chris. So we get 7, 10, 5. The order I'll be saying whilst we remain free-handed is Simon, Jarvis, Seal. So it's 7, 10, 5 are the up cards. Seal completes with his 5. Simon folds. Jarvis quickly folds. Just really showing the power of the stack. John has basically taken. It feels like every pot for the last few. He let Jarvis have the penultimate one, didn't he? But other than that, he's winning them left, right, and centre. Second hand of Raz. We'll only be playing 3 hands of each because we are 3-handed. Don't know what they do heads up. I've seen other tournaments where they'll play 4 hands. So 9, 6, 10 are the up cards, which means Seal has the bring in. Simon folds his 9. Jarvis has made a completion, and Seal folds, showing a pair of 8s behind, which is not a good start in Raz, particularly when your up card is even higher than that. So last hand of Raz, Dale has a riffle. So we are in the middles. Middles are placed on the seat right in front of where I exited about 3 hours ago on the bubble.
So apologies at home, we had casino Wi-Fi just kicked us off for a minute or two there, a little way back, but we're back on now. It seems to happen every few hours, I think, but
so five king
good.
ace with the cards here. I mean, you talk about apples where there's orchards. We're playing Raz. John gets an ace up against a king. It's, you know, it is just, you might as well just push him a few chips.
Yeah. That's just a fairly standard situation. Yeah.
Standard situation in most circumstances. Put his massive chip stack into the dynamic, and yeah, it is just 3 chips. But that's life. That's the way it is. So
that's life.
We are now going to high-low. So the way to remember the order is it's high, then it's low, then it's high-low. So it's high, low, high-low.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So and obviously Simon will be loving the fact that on the first stud high-low hand he has the bring in with a deuce. Could have done with that in Raz, but it's not the worst in high-low compared to high, of course. So it's been called in both spots. So deuce 9-5 were the up cards. So Simon's now showing 2-4, Jarvis 9-3, and Seal 9-5. Dolly Parton showing. He was first to act with the better hand. It's gone check, check. Jarvis has fired out with his 9-3. So it's 10k is the bet now, which is essentially half his stack. He's got about 13 behind. As John ponders, John Seal ponders.
I mean, this to me looks like 3 reasonably strong.
We've moved the game to stud high-low.
Oh, right, okay. Not that strong then.
No. And it was enough to get Simon off it as well. So
wow.
Jarvis will chip up a bit. The thing is, with Simon's stack, any coming along is a serious investment. You know, if he were to double Jarvis, then their stacks essentially reverse.
It's a real nightmare having 2 Johns on the final table.
I've decided it's Jarvis and Seal.
Yeah.
I've got Jarvis and Seal.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting myself there. I'm still saying
really,
John.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we should have some sort of rule in here that it's not allowed. Sorry, actually, you can't have anyone with the same name on the final table. You'll have to play heads up or something to decide who's going to get to play.
Second hand of high. Simon had the bring in with the 6 of diamonds showing. Jarvis folds. And Seal chucks in the complete. Simon has a little smile at him, checks whether he knows what game they're playing, and he's going to raise. So this is, as I was just saying to Lee, a significant portion of his stack.
This is pretty much Simon committed to this hand now.
Yeah, it
very
absolutely
much so.
is.
And John will know that now, so it's just whether he wants to.
He's got the chips.
Whether he wants to.
He's asked for a count.
Yeah,
he's doing it. He's re-raising. This is quite common as well.
Here.
Well, when players are short, it's quite common to then put them all in because you know it's happening. So let's get
it's all going to go before, and pretty much it's going to be in the hand of the dealer to decide what happens here.
Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes the betting gets capped at 4 or 5. Looks like Simon's going to have a tiny bit behind, which means we can't go on their backs until the next street, which we inevitably will, unless there's a bit of quirkiness where they check it to 7th for fun. But they will be going in. Oh no, we got enough to. I think it might have enough to go all in, or rather, small enough. So we are all in. So Simon, John, Seal as a pair of 9s. Simon's got 3 diamonds. Ace 10, 6.
So the call is for.
And it's high-low, isn't it? So there's an 8 for Simon,
a
king, and a 5. Simon still needs to hit. There's the ace. So he's paired his ace as John hits 2 pair with the jack. 7th card is down.
Simon
there
needs to pretty much pair his
no low possibilities. John doesn't improve. So Simon
needs
any pair.
King and 8, 10 or a 6.
He's paired his 6.
And
he
pairs
survives.
His 6.
He doubles through. As Jarvis's heart sinks. Simon doesn't do bronze medals. We've said this. Chris, was it ever in doubt?
There's no point asking Chris. Chris has no idea what was going on. Yeah.
Exactly. If it was heads up, he wouldn't have hit. It says all you need to know about the man's character. So, we are playing the last hand of high-low. High-low dealer, right? And Simon has the bring in with a 5 showing. Jarvis quickly completes with a 6 showing. So Simon looks, doesn't like it, has queen deuce to go with his 5. And Jarvis will take a small pot, 2, 3, 6. Couple of spades, not bad for a starting hand in high-low when you're short. Get it in, see what happens.
Yeah.
All sorts of possibilities.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
With his stack. I think in a standard stack with lots
I
of
mean,
chips,
is
it's a
there,
fold.
there's not, I mean, really, say it's John Jarvis now who's now the short stack after Simon's double up. So he's now going to play the same game that Simon was playing, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's playing 40. He's playing 43.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was playing 23 for quite a while. So
Yeah.
these things happen. So we have changed the game to stud high. First hander stud high.
And that seems to be.
So there's confusion on the bring in, but we're okay. I think confusion over what game we're playing. So Jarvis brought in by mistake, but it's all good. Simon's now brought in with a jack, which seems very harsh on stud high. We had the up cards with jack of clubs, king of clubs, ace of clubs. So community royal was a possibility, but John had the aces, bought it. Turns a king to go with it. Must be nice.
Well, as I say, when you're a chip leader, that's the way it goes, isn't
Yep.
it?
I'm not sure which is worse, Chris, Simon. Which is worse, having you and the rest of the guys a rail who just abuse him? No? I'm just wondering which is worse, whether it's having a rail that abuses you all the time, or Seal's rail who just fucked up.
Yeah.
Apologies for the language, we are past the
Well,
watershed.
well, to be honest, they came over and wished him good luck. But
And then went.
Yeah.
So, we are still on stud high. John Seal's going to have the break. Again, it's all clubs, ace, 9, deuce, in order of Simon to Seal. So it's brought in by John with a deuce, completed by Simon. Quick fold from the other 2 players. So Simon adds to his stack. So, last hand of stud high. Jarvis has the bring in with 3 of hearts. John Seal completes with 9 showing. Simon's up cards 5 of hearts, and he's coming along. So he's called. Jarvis having a ponder. As if anyone, if you the most effective way to tilt Chris Webber is to stack your chips in an awkward way or a small way.
100%.
He's just pointed out that John's not in even 20s. John's comeback was, how you doing in this tournament? Which, to be fair to Webber, he didn't actually play it.
No.
So, but for once, he's not actually playing anything else at the moment. So Simon hit an ace on 4th. John hit a king. It went check quickly. So Simon's board is ace 7-5, 2 hearts, and Seals is king 9 deuce, 2 spades. It goes check again. Simon gets a 10, and Seal gets a 7 of spades, so that's 3 spades shown for Seal. And the action will be on Simon with the ace shown. It's gone check, so we'll go 7th down. So the action will be on Simon again. He's obviously got the best hand showing on 6th. Will still be the best hand showing.
Very much kept the pot very low here, JP.
Yeah. Well, so you've got to be disciplined, and yeah, sometimes it can play out. So Simon's checked. John's going to see whether he's well, don't know. He's having a look at his cards, whether he's for, and he's checked it. So Simon's going to turn it over. And it's ace king for Simon, and there is literally nobody has paired anything. So ace king with a jack beats ace king with a 10. That's pretty rare.
Monster
pretty rare.
hand versus monster hand.
I think I've played maybe 2 dozen of this type of tournament stud base. That's literally only the 3rd time I've ever seen that happen.
Yeah.
With the stack that Simon has, I mean, you're grateful for any time you can pick up any pot. It doesn't matter, even if it's the antes, the bring in. It's all good. It all gets you up, especially with a precarious player, much shorter. And we have changed the game to high-low. Simon has the bring in with 6 of diamonds. No, he doesn't. I'm confused. No, we've changed the game to Raz. I beg your
Raz,
pardon.
isn't it?
Yeah, we've just finished third high, so move to Raz. Bring in is with Jarvis with the Queen of Hearts showing. John Seal has 8 of clubs, so the action's on him. Simon Brooks 6 of diamonds showing as everybody checks what the game is. And that's a fold, a complete from Simon, a quick fold from Jarvis.
So it's as you said again earlier on, what always happens when you do the short stack, you're always the bringing.
It
just seems to be the way it goes.
So it's weird. It seems to come in streaks as well.
Yeah.
So you won't notice it happen for a while, and then it'll be the same.
And then
Boom,
it'll
boom,
be,
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Be like 4 times out of 5, and then it'll move on to someone else, or it'll bust. So second hand of Raz. And it's Queen, Queen, Jack, so some amazing start in Raz hands. So got distracted by some messages being delivered on Facebook by Lucy, and missed the action. But it looked like John bought it with his very high cards showing. Like I said, 3 very high cards. I think it's Queen, Queen, Jack. So last hand of Raz. Now this time we have 3 proper Raz cards. It's gone 4, Ace, 3. Simon with the bring in with a 4. Jarvis shoves the completion in. And there's a fold from Seal. So this could be interesting. No, obviously Simon had a bag of spanners, pair of kings or something behind. Jarvis shows a 10 and a 5 to go with his ace. Yeah, his stack repping as strong as possible with the ace up. Pretty standard. So the game will now go to high-low. And pretty much the same as just happened, only Seal and Jarvis's cards are reversed. Let's bring in with the 3 for Jarvis, complete with an ace for Seal, fold from Simon, fold from Jarvis. Normal service is resumed. Jarvis down to 24-25k after the antes. We've said that before, John. Just saying it won't be long, but he's been down, he's been all in, and here he is with a guaranteed medal. So stud high low, and John Seal's gonna have the bring in with a 4 of hearts showing. Simon's got Jack of clubs showing, and Jarvis has 7 of hearts. Simon's completed with his Jack. Jarvis is going to pump it in with a raise. Seal gets out of the way. That raise leaves him 6k behind. So Simon's put it all in. We're all in. We're going to turn the cards over. He's got a pair of 7s. Simon's got a pair of Jacks. Jarvis is blocking one with another Jack. So Simon hits a 9, and there's basically no improvement. Jarvis is behind. Still no improvement. Still nothing. He's got a pair of 7s. Few high cards. Last card is down. So Simon's got Jack deuce. So only a king. A 7 will win it. He's at a deuce. So we've lost our 3rd place player, John Jarvis. I would say Simon doesn't do bronze medals. He doesn't do golds yet. So we'll see what happens. And we're going to be heads up. Mark Porter comes over, knowing what's happened. Clearly, he's in the silver medal position at the moment. Chris handing out the medals now. So. Heads up between John Seal and Simon Brook. They're going to take a quick 5-minute break. John Jarvis was third. So come back in 5 minutes, guys.
These have gone up, but not these. Sorry? Yeah, these are going up, yeah? On whatever level we're on, yeah? Oh, yeah. You're right, yeah. So right now we're my mistake. Okay. Yeah. I'm in. That's right. Oh, I nearly knocked his chips. Okay. You're the man. Turn over a couple of cards. Just turn it over.
no, we realise that for the round of each game, we need to have something else. But anyway, John, I don't know whether you know, obviously you're up inside the book, so congratulations on the win. We'll just get the photo now, yeah.
Say that. Yeah, well, are you going to change the game?
So players are back. Here we go then, JP.
We're about to go. So, yeah. I can't remember what we're playing. What are we playing? Playing high-low. Last hand of high-low. So, no. Tom's decision. So we're playing the last hand of high-low. We're only getting 2 hands of each. John. I can now say John. We've lost to John, so I can say John. So
stop calling him Seal and call him John again. Excellent.
John had the bring in with 7, but he's decided to go straight in with the full 10k and be a proper bully. Simon folds his 10, and John turned over 6, 7, 8.
So obviously you know these games far better than me here, JP. So I mean, where are we in the way of stack sizes? How deep are they still in the tournament? Have they got play here, or we're not at the point of having to push?
No, we're not, I think. Yeah, we're playing 10, 20 limits, and Simon the surer of the two. I mean, I'm looking at 2 stacks of 20, big stack of pinks. Yeah. Simon must have 40% of the chips now.
So there's 320,000 chips in play.
Yeah. Simon, so we've now changed the game to stud high, and when you're running good, because on 4th Street, John pairs his 8, so he has a pair of 8s. Didn't actually see whether he exercised his option to fire out the double bet, which you can do. We'll just try to remember if we're playing stud high or high low, because you can only do that in high, and we are playing high. So second and last hand of high.
But basically, in one hand here, it can swing so much
Well,
between
it can
chips.
if they bet through the streets, yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's the nature of the game. There's so many rounds of betting. You can lose a lot, you can win a lot. But it's not like you get in a situation at this stage where I've got to go with it. So, stud high. Simon had the bring with a 10 showing. John's just made the call with the king of diamonds. So both have diamonds. Simon gets an 8 to go with his 10. John gets king queen. So he's going to fire out with a better hand showing. Simon has a riffle of cards. Ruefully folds. About to change the game to Raz. So off we go with Raz, 2 hands of Raz. Simon gets a 9, John gets a queen. Action will be on John, higher card shown, which is the worst card in Raz. Puts out his compulsory bring in. Simon fires out a completion, which is very, very, very quickly called by John. So we've got a 9 and a queen in Raz. Simon gets an ace, John gets a 7. So best hand shown for Simon. Fires out a bet, quickly called by John. So this, to your point previously, this can get expensive quite quickly. So they both get decent cards on 5th as well. So Simon's board is now ace 8 9. John's is queen 7 3. Simon will have the action, 9 high being the better hand in Raz. He's fired out the bet quite quickly. You're on the bigger bet. John's reaching for chips. Counts them out, and over they go. So this is a pot. This is a pot. This is very, very significant. That's all of John's pink chips now. He has plenty of stacks of yellows. 6 3 is coming, and Simon gets a deuce. John gets a 10. So it's a lovely street for Simon. Auto bets it, but John looks interested. I'm actually starting to now be slightly concerned as to whether John knows what game we're playing. But I think, well, he's made the call, which, well, he has to be drawing to that 7. He has to be. He literally has to be drawing to that 7.
I mean, whoever wins this hand now is going to be in a seriously strong position.
It really are. Simon's checked on 7th, so that's interesting. John's got to think. See, this is interesting. A bet from John here would be utterly horrible for Simon, because you bet when you're super strong. So if he's hit his 7 draw, or you bet when you got 4/5 and nothing, because it's the only way you can win your pot. And if it does, he's counting them out. He's counting them out. So having a real think about this, he's stacked up the bet. Still the safe side. He's put him over. Simon really doesn't look happy. And he's cold. He's cold. Simon has, he was drawing to a 7. He hit it on 7th. He's got a 76. Simon had to make that call. So that has utterly crippled him.
Yeah, very much so. Simon's got now about 45,000 maybe behind.
Yeah, so he's going to have, what, 15% of the chips. The way it played out as well, we know that he had to
where
hit
they're
that
at now is it's a case of now this hand Simon's just got to get those chips in the middle and hope he doubles up, yeah?
Because your head's up, you can let a couple go.
Can you really? Yeah, you can.
I think, yeah, literally a couple. But, yeah, they're going to take... What did you say he had, Lee? What did you say you thought he had? 35k?
45, I think.
Okay, so it's 10% of his stack on the antes every time, so, yeah, not too many. So, second and last hand of Raz. John's going to have to bring in with his 10. He's having to think. So he has the option, of course, to shove the full bet straight in, which he might do to really pound down on Simon. I think this is one, though, when you've got the better card, it probably is one where you have to go with it. And he's
Simon's counted chips and John's just
called rather than raised. Which,
okay.
I mean, I don't see that these don't go in. So it's 9-7 for Simon. He puts out the bet quickly against John's 10-5. John's going to have a scratch, a ponder, and in go the chips.
Shake of the head from
this
Simon there.
This is slight, yeah, because he probably was hoping and expecting to raise. Now, Simon's got a good card there, so Simon's got 9-7-3 against John's 10-5-6. Yeah, well, John's priced in now, so it doesn't matter. Even if John had paired his 10, I think he has to call there. We still haven't quite got all in, so we're going all in on 6th. So it's 7-9-3 for Simon, 10-6-5 for John. Simon pairs his 7, John pairs his 10, so nobody gets any worse. We're all in. Simon's got a made 9, which hasn't got any better. But John's board doesn't look good, and Simon doubles.
Simon gets a double up.
Yeah. So again, we
very much
are-
needed.
Yeah. So that going with it, Lee, is no longer compulsory.
Yeah,
He's still massively short start. You were saying 35. So you're going to be 70, 75 now of the 320. Yeah, I think it's a case of he doesn't have to go with the next hand or even the one after that, but the next one he goes with, he's going with it. Yeah.
And if he doubles up again, they're pretty much then level on stacks.
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
It can happen so quickly. The hand before last will be playing with him mentally because it was a very, very strange hand. John's board looked so poor, Simon's board looked so great. Simon was ahead the whole way, and then to lose it on 6. But John had the chips. So John has the bring in with a 7. Simon's popped it up with a queen. So this is one where 4th Street will be interestingly. Well, we're not going to get there, so John's going to let that one go. Actually, the game's changed, doesn't it? Sorry, that's me losing tracks. That was high-low, so completing a queen makes a hell of a lot of sense. So the game's changed to high-low. That was the first hand, which Simon took down. John had to bring in with a 7, I think it was. Simon popped it up with a queen. That was the end of that. So, we can get back slowly, Lee.
Yeah,
you don't
very
have
much
to shove it all in crazy. And
well, this is the thing. This is the difference, isn't it, compared to those people that only play No Limit Hold'em and can see the very the crazy ups and downs of that. You can, it would appear you can kind of chip away a little bit.
John's brought in with a 4 showing. Actions on Simon. 9 of hearts is his up card. He's having to think. He's just going to call this time. So discipline. Let's see what happens. A 3 for Simon and a queen. John has the dreaded queen 4 showing. Simon checks the 9-3. They both check. So hits a jack. So queen 4-3 for John, which is slightly better than Simon's jack 9-3. Nobody seems to want to put any chips in. Check, check. Simon gets a king and John gets a deuce. So remember, we're playing high-low. So John fires a bet out of turn. I believe if Simon does now bet, the action being on him with king high showing, that action stands. Now, because Simon's checked, I think that action now has to stand. So reminder, John's board is 2-3-4 queen. Remember, this is high-low.
It's interesting. Simon's then made the call. So
he's
knowing
made
what was coming,
Yeah. I think, again, stacks as they are, 3 low cards out there. It's gone check on 7th. So John mucks. John had nothing. Simon had 2 pair. I think it was Jackson 5s. Yeah, the old Jackson 5s, which is plenty. So that, there's a little addition to the family there.
Lee. Yeah, very much.
And before you know, we're back there. I don't know if I'm overstating this because this is amateur poker, but it can be played to a very, very high standard. This will be mentally a huge win for Simon if he comes back from that last hand that we were talking about to win this, to finally get that gold medal. He gets a lot of ribbon from his mates. Many, many silvers in the collection. 2 silvers in the rousing consecutive years, I believe, which is amazing and also brutal. Anyway, so we are now on stirred high. Simon had to bring him with a 6. John popped it up with his king showing, folds all round, and shows the ace once Simon folds. So really strong start in hand for John. Ace king and something else, probably another 2 or 3 kings the way he's been running, to be fair. And that was, I'm really losing track. It's getting very hard with 2 games, two hands of every game to keep up. Think we are on the second hand of stud high. So
Simon's playing about 110,000 there now, JP.
Again, exact same situation. Simon has to bring in there with the 6. John has the ace shown or the king. I actually can't remember, but the other one was whatever that. So he had ace king to start with. It's just somebody orders some chips. Yeah, chips in the name of seal. Here they go. So we now get changed to Raz. A game Mr. Brook definitely liked until at least 15 minutes ago. So Simon's going to have to bring in with a 7 showing. Suits are entirely irrelevant in Raz. John's got a 4 showing, so Simon brings in. John pops it up. Simon has another 7 and a queen, so he will let that go. What do you think Simon's stack is now? There's about 80 in pinks.
No, it's about 100.
Yeah, so 80, 100 in pinks or less then?
I think he's got about 70k in, or maybe 80k in pinks.
Yeah,
and then
so we're well over 100 then.
I reckon it's about 100, 110, 115, something like that.
So it's 2-1, yeah.
Pretty much.
So second hand of rouse, it's 5 and a 6 showing. So Simon's going to have that bring in with the 6. What's John going to do? He's got a nice strong card, but so is Simon. So he's just going to call. Discipline play, keep the pot nice and small. And Simon gets a nice 3. John gets a jack, and that will be a quick bet, quick fold. Very, 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 very standard. John showing quite a lot of weakness, to be honest, with that initial call. So once those 4th Street cards arrive, it's pretty much plays itself. So we are now at high-low, and Simon's got the deuce for the bring-in. John's got king of diamonds. I think he just has all the kings and aces mail order too, and he shows the ace again. So that's the 3rd hand in the high games in 5 or 6, where he's literally had ace king, which is not as nice as it is in Hold'em, but still a very nice hand. And second hand of high-low. This time John's going to have the bring in with a 3 of hearts. Simon's got queen of clubs. So that went bring in complete call. So interesting. Remember, it's high-low. So Simon's board is now queen jack, and John's is 3-5. So that's quite interesting. Simon's fired out on his queen jack. John's called. Very, very. So Simon, you know, they both get kind of the cards you'd expect them to want, given how their boards already were. So 10 Jack Queen shown for Simon, 3, 5, 6 for John. It goes check, check, keeping it disciplined. Simon gets a 5 this time. John gets a deuce.
It's the perfect card for him.
John's got a great low, great looking low board. We've got 4 to a gut shot.
I mean, John's got the potential here that he could actually be on the straight as well.
If John has a 4, it's a lock. So the bet from John, it went check, bet, fold, and that's how this game can be really brutal. You can have an absolute monster after 3 hands or 3 really good high cards, and then you can't be what you can see suddenly, or it just looks horrific, and you've invested, but you got to let it go.
Yeah.
So that was high-low. We're now back to stud high. The games are changing thick and fast. Like, I don't know, I can't think of a good analogy for thick and fast. Linford Christie wasn't the brightest, was he? Let's go with Linford Christie. Yeah. Best I can do, it's late. So this time, stud high. Simon has a bring in with a 6. John just makes the call with the jack. 4 for Simon, 6 for John. So John's got the better hand with the jack 6 show, and action's going to be on him. He has another look at his down cards. He goes with a little check. Simon, much more deliberate action, also checks. And a 5 for Simon. So Simon's board is now 4, 5, 6. John's is jack 6, 2. And John's still the best hand shown. It goes check, check. So Simon gets a jack and John gets an 8. So Simon's board, 4, 5, 6, jack. There are 2 hearts, 2 diamonds, so not looking particularly flushy. John's raggedy jack 8, 6, 2, couple of hearts. 7th Street is dealt. So action's going to be with John has the best jack show in jack 8 versus Simon's jack 6. So John's got the action. I'd be pretty surprised if this doesn't go check, check, given the way the action's played so far. Not much point nicking it. It's very expensive. If the action's on Simon, it's being checked. He's having a think. His rail looks on anxiously. The rail's growing, by the way. Little chat for the deal. I'm not really sure what. He's checked it, and he's going to win with
Jack
10.
Jack
he wins
10
with
is a high.
He has 7 cards and he wins with Jack 10, beating Jack 9.
So that's going to count as the 4th time you've now seen that.
Yeah.
And that's probably the worst of it.
Well, I guess, it may come as a major surprise to you, Lee, but I don't have lots of heads-up experience. I tend to be eliminated far earlier. And I guess you're going to get it more often in this region. And let's be honest, that hand got the amount of chips it probably does.
Exactly, yeah, very much so.
The boards are interesting, but neither of them had hit, as we now know. So this is the last hand of stud high, and they both get kings.
So what happens when they both get kings then, JP?
So it's kind of a bridge order. So when you're playing high games, it's order alphabetical basically. So clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades.
Okay.
When you play in Raz, it reverses.
Okay.
So Simon had the bring in, popped up by John and folded. That sucks when you get a king in the bring in. I mean, heads up as well. That's tough. So we are now to Raz. Simon's ever-growing rail. I would have sympathy for John with his lack of rail, but then I look over his chips and got Tristan looking on. Webber, Mark Porter, Danny up top to join us. Kevo Hanlon's come along to see what's going on. Stood in the middle-ish of the rail, remaining quite neutral. Is he playing for the Swiss, I think? Yeah, taking up that neutral position, not favouring one player or the other. Joe Carhill, Rob, Tristan, always looking on. Rail is gathering. And we are playing. What were we just playing, Lee? Remind me. We were playing stud high, so we've moved back to Raz.
Yeah, we're on to Raz, yeah.
Thick and fast. So there's confusion over what the game is, who they're bringing in.
Simon's even just double-checking we are playing Raz.
No, Simon always knows what's
obviously,
going on.
This could be quite interesting because actually he's bringing in here with a 6, which means, you know, they both possibly got hands here.
Yeah, and now he's hit a 3 on 4, so his hand looks very strong. So John, under most normal circumstances, would probably a positive. He shows, so he folds the 3 behind.
Cheers.
So small pot for Simon. This is the so triple stud. So they play in orbit, or in this now we're down to heads up 2 hands. 2 hands are stud high, 2 hands are Raz, 2 hands are stud 8 or better. And Raz still, yeah. So Jack is
second hand. I don't know. We must have.
I'm really confused. I know.
Yes, no. He's just.
Someone was making.
Yeah.
No, I'm really confused. I didn't see John putting any chips in.
John had to put the bring in, but Simon had already bet before John had a chance to get the bring in, so John just flicked in the chips.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that was the second Raz hand.
I thought he was making change. I think you're right.
There's not huge play. I think
no.
So it'll just need one of them will win a couple of.
So the game's changed, high-low. Both got 10s showing. So this time the diamond is with John, so he has the bring in, and Simon's popped it up, which John does not like at all. But he folds, so it has possibly the desired effect. Simon shows that he had 3 hearts. Perfectly happy with that. Sorry, they rammed the double gin and tonics here, full of dried juniper berries, and getting towards the end of mine.
That's a classy gin and tonic, that, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. Webber bought it for me, so you know, who's to judge? Right, so we are at.
I genuinely think. I just genuinely think Webber might actually fall asleep at this final table rail.
I'm very confused by what's happened. So, right, so John brought in for the lot rather than just the compulsory. So John's board is deuce 7. Simon's got king 5. Action's on him. It goes check, check. So bit of a mistake by the dealer, but John, fair play. It's just said I was going to check anyway, so we're good. We've gone to. So. Dealer's made the same mistake on 6th. John hadn't checked. The dealer's a bit confused by who's acting. This time John wanted to bet, and that's the way it is. So we have changed the game. Stud high. Simon's brought in with his 6. John has just called with the king. Now he gets a 9. So king 9 of club showing for John. He's checked to Simon's 9-6. So both players got 9 on 4th. And we're playing stud high. Simon's fired out his bet. If the desired effect was to confuse John, then it's certainly worked. So John's going into a tank here. So he ponders Simon firing out with a board of 6-9, and it's good enough to win it. Fold him. So, stud high. Second and last hand of stud high. So, 6 and a 4 for Simon and for John. And John's going to have the bring in with a 4, which he does. Simon ponders. Puts...
He's playing about 95,000, I think, at the moment, JP.
So Simon's put the call in. So we've got 2 monster boards now for stud high. We've got 4, 6 and 3, 4. So Simon gets an ace on 5th, John gets a jack. So ace 4, 6 for Simon, jack 3, 4 for John. Check, check. 5 for Simon and a deuce for John. So that's a check from Simon, a check from John. So 7th straight. Action will be with Simon with ace 4, 5, 6 showing versus John's 2, 3, 4 jack. And Simon's going to think, have a check. John has a scratch, looks at his 3 cards, reaches for chips, fires them out. Simon makes a face, which I think is pretty standard in this spot. Very little action, but it's 25%, 20% of between 20-25% of Simon's stack. Let's call that bet. He's having a think as to what it could be, and he folds very, very, very reluctantly. John shows the jack and the deuce, so 2 pair was plenty. Very gentlemanly thing to do. Won't catch me doing that. That was stud high, so the game is Raz. Antes are in the middle. So 9 for Simon, 3 for John. Simon will have the bring in. Pushes the chips over. Simon, John completes. Simon will call the completion. So it's deuce for Simon, 9 for John. So Simon's actually taken the lead with 9 deuce showing. John's got 9-3 showing. He's got a face that says he's folding. Plays with his cards, slides them about a bit. And he folds. Small pot for Simon. All needed at this stage. Lots of things. Lots and lots of things. I nearly said that on mic, Lucy. I didn't. So, another hand of Raz. Simon has a bring with 7. John has a 6 showing. So, John reached for chips. Just a call. So, again, disciplined. Keeping the pot small. 9 for Simon, 10 for John. So, Simon has a slight lead with 9-7 showing versus John's 10-6. Which means the action will be on him and he checks. John checks. We go to 5th. King for Simon, 9 for John. So John now has the best hand showing. 10-9-6 versus Simon's King 9-7. So riffle and a check. Quick check back from Simon. 4 for Simon, ace for John. So a couple of good cards there. So where Raz can be really quite brutal is when you get the card you want, but your opponent visibly improves even better. So 10 high for John. He's going to have the action, which I think he's still pondering. Scratches his ear and checks. Quick check back from Simon. We go to 7. So action's going to be on John. It's not a particularly big pot. There's 10, 12, 15k in there. So check from John. Simon looks. Pulls a very odd face. Saying something, but I can't hear. Announces a 10. Announces a 10. We will verify. I can see 5, 7 and 10 is good. 10 is good for a small pot. As John pretty much shows a bag of spanners for Jack. I think John had a Jack high hand there. So he picks up another small one. We're going to set the line at what time Webber falls asleep. He now does look properly. I mean, I've got a great view right up his nostrils from standing opposite side of the table as his head's fully back, eyes shut, reclined. So the game has changed. Stud high low. Simon had to bring him with a deuce. John now has ace king of diamonds showing. All the up cards are diamonds. John's fired out a bet with that board. Simon's called. It goes 8 for Simon, 3 for John on 5th. John fires out the big bet of 20. Simon's coming along. Uh, 10 for Simon on 6th, 6 for John. So, come a long way with the hand he had, and he's called. And we go to 7th. So ace king 3-6 for John. He'll have the action. 9, 8, 9, 10 deuce for Simon. John's pushed chips across. Simon's looking at his cards. Doesn't look happy, but then, as I've said, he never really does. Massive decision for Simon. Huge chunk of his stack. Those of you watching, those chips you can see are all he has left. Just yellows, some greens. He's thinking. It's massive. Little shake of the head. Chips go over the line. John doesn't look happy. All John has is the low. Simon has 10, so after all that, we chop it up. Simon has 2 10s. Versus, well, looks like a 7-6. Yeah. Ace deuce 3, 6, 7 for John. When did you pair, Simon? 10. When? 10. When did you pair? That's Simon confirming the last card. So he obviously had all sorts of other draws going on with that hand, but yeah, he got the pair to win the high on the 7th card. So he survives. Obviously we're heads up, so he's back where he was before the hand. So we are playing high-low. Simon has to bring in with a 5, and John has the 8 of hearts showing. So it's just called. He hasn't completed. It's just a call. Action on John with a 5-8, with Simon's 5-4 showing. Goes check. And Simon now picks up a 3, John picks up a 4. So very, very low boards. Simon's now paired his 4, so we've gone to 6. So Simon's board is 4-4, 3-5. John's is 9-4-5-8. And we go 7th. So again, we haven't really built much of a pot. It's high-low, and the boards are very low. You can see both players 3 to a low showing. Goes check, and king high I think it is for John. No low. Simon has the high and scoops that small pot. As one by one, Simon's rail begin to fall asleep.
Top left of your screen there, you can see bracelet winner Chris Webber. Really enthralled by this heads-up match.
So. So we've changed again. So we just played high-low. So we've moved to high. Sorry, and John had a king up, which is enough to take the pot. Second and last hand of stud high. As the dealer just grabs the chips. Webber's now running on the spot to wake up. With his newly acquired menacing beard. I think he does look a bit menacing with that beard.
It's
right, so we are stud high. Simon has to bring in with the 3. John has the ace. John pops it up. Simon folds. Hashtag standard. Danny back with a full pint of Guinness. Tristan just finishing his Moretti, ready to grab another.
Danny only drink Guinness when he's in the UK.
I think it's the nearest thing he can get to like a strong Belgian style that he likes. Yeah, I'm not sure. He might drink other lagers, but I'm not really sure. So we are, remind me, Lee, we're playing stud high. And it's 6 for Simon's going to have to bring in with a 6. John's got the 7. I'll be amazed if this doesn't go. Bring in and then just the call from John, but you never know. He might have some strength behind that. No, just the call.
Good shout, JP. Good shout.
Let's see what happens on 4th. There's a king for Simon. There's the ace of hearts for John. So they both get big cards. And John checks with the first to act, best hand showing. Check, check. We go to 5th. 5 for Simon, queen for John. John will be first to act. It goes check from John. Simon checks. Another king for Simon. So Simon now has king showing in his board. Action then goes to him, best hand showing, fires out a bet. Be surprised if this isn't a fold, but John's having a look, having a think. Riffling his chips. John's board is ace 10, queen 7, couple of hearts.
Where's the strength here then, JP?
Well, I mean, you can see Simon's board. It's massive. If John has a couple of hearts behind, does he want to try and catch? I think he had possibility of a straight, but he might have needed 2 behind, so he opted to let it go. The other thing is, sometimes with a pair, you think, well, you might be drawing to a better 2, but you might not. If you just have one pair, you can see the pair of kings up, you might be drawing dead already.
Yeah.
You know, there's another king behind. I mean, Simon didn't play it like there was a king behind, so that would go through your mind. Gianluca comes over. Italian captain. Is he captain or just one of the team? Is Gianluca Italian captain? Yep, thought so.
Luca is very much
We've changed the game to Raz, which of course means Simon gets a king and and John gets a nice sort of middling card to take that down. So second and last hand of Raz coming up. So, second last hand of Raz. This time John gets to bring in with a 10. Simon's got an ace showing, which is pretty much as good as it gets. Well, in all variants of... and John literally just throws his bringing over at Simon, doesn't even give Simon the opportunity to pop it up himself. His varying states of tiredness around the room. The fresh-faced Mark Porter, who clearly has a portrait in the attic.
But Mark, I'm going to say,
he looks fresh.
Yeah. Look, just always. I mean, Mark's not aged for years.
Danny looks tired, but in much more of a continental, suave kind of way. Little yawn here and there.
He's got the ability as well. Every bit of clothing that he wears always looks completely fresh and brand new, doesn't it?
So we're high-low. 5 for John is the bring-in. And 7 for Simon. Just calls the bring in. High-low. So Simon gets an ace. So Simon got the best hand showing. Ace 7. Fires it out. And quick fold from John. Given the size of him, that's also his bedroom, though, isn't it? Is this why... Did you bring Mark in the group so there was someone smaller than you in the group? Did you bring him into the group so there was someone smaller than you? Not much in it.
I can easily eject you, JP. I can easily eject you.
Go.
You're taller than Chris, aren't you?
So we're I have literally forgotten what the game is. It's stud high low, and it's 6 for John, Jack for Simon. Simon picks up a king. Yeah, you know that thing you've asked me to do. We're going. Yeah. All right. So Simon's board is now 10 king Jack. And John's is 3-5-6. So remember playing stud high low. So Simon's got a really nice high board showing, but John's got a really nice low board showing. And he's checked the action, and he's gone check bet call. So high low, we're going 6. So now Simon gets an ace, and John pairs his 3. So another low cover. This time we already had. John does have 3 hearts. Well, in fact, both players have 3 hearts showing.
This is the biggest pot we've had for a little while, actually, JP.
Well, for a little while, yeah. They haven't been getting crazy.
No, they haven't. Very much
where we had bets. So the action has gone to John because he had the pair showing, and he went check check. So we've gone to 7th. Action will still be on John, obviously. He's going to have a look at that.
Whose hand would you want here now?
I'd like to see the behind cards. It's so hard to say. So I didn't see John check, but I assume must have because Simon's fired out a bet. John looks like he's going to call. Yeah, and he has raised. So Simon hates his life, pushes him across. John may just be free rolling the low, which often happens here.
John's got the flush, and Simon says, I've got the flush too, I think. He has,
Wow.
and he's got the better
Both
flush.
flushed in
Wow,
hearts.
wow, wow. Both hearts flushes. Wow. That's quite incredible, actually, isn't it? Heads up.
Yeah, to be the same suit.
Yeah.
For those who don't understand this game, why does Simon not re-raise?
It's pair showing, so full house is very possible. The way it's come along. It's a lot more common.
Being raised when you've got fours and straight.
Yeah.
It looks like you have a straight, therefore if the guy is raising you, he must have a full house. Right, okay, I understand.
That was the voice of Chris Webber.
Who has absolutely fuck all idea of what is going on.
So the game has changed to high-low. No, it hasn't. It's changed to stud-high, because that was high-low.
Also, JP, who clearly has fuck all idea of what is going on.
I know how the game works, but you're right, yeah. I've often lost place of what's going on. So we've gone to fourth, and Simon's got Queen 7 show, so the action will be on him versus John's 10-8. It's gone check. John's checked it back. 3 for Simon. John picks up an ace, so action will now be on him with ace 10-8. Simon's got a couple of clubs on board, and he's going to let that go.
I think this hand started, although John's just won that one now, so I think it's roughly about 180, 140, I think.
Wow. That is a hell of a change.
Yeah. I mean, I know John's not quite got his in 20s. They're a little bit more than that, which makes our life a little bit more tricky. But roughly speaking, it's yeah.
So
180, 140, maybe 190, 130 now, maybe. But certainly a lot closer than it's been for a while.
And we're soon at the point where the winner of the hand takes the chip lead. Of any significance. So second and last hand of stud high. John's going to have the bring in with 4 of hearts. Simon's showing his 9 of clubs. And he's popped it up. John folds a bag of spanners face up. And we will change the game to Raz. Mr. Webber now starting the least enthusiastic chant of "Let's go," Simon, "Let's go" that I've ever heard.
Girlfriend with guilt trip.
Despite the fact that we've moved to Raz, hasn't we? So Ace of Diamonds, King of Diamonds with the 2-up cards, as good as it gets and as bad as it gets. So again, John's just thrown the chips to Simon, didn't even give him the option to pop it up. So we will have another hand of Raz. Strap yourselves in, guys. Could be a while, could be over in the next hand. Again, Simon gets the ace, but this time John gets a 3. So we've both got nice starting hands. John's going to have the bring in because ace is low in Raz, so he has the low card showing. John just comes in for the 4K. Simon pops it up, and John shows he's got a pair in the hole. So that streak, now that the chips are even, that streak's almost gone the other way.
Yeah,
so
pretty much now.
Simon gets a good up cards.
Yeah.
You know, this game.
But that's got to put it now pretty much even now.
Yeah. If your previous information was accurate, then good. So Wreck-It Ralph is gonna move on, and Pavel's gonna take over the dealing. Mark always looks ever so slightly startled to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's just a bit like when your cat hears a noise.
Yeah.
He just seems to permanently have that kind of expression, just looking around the room, not really saying a lot.
Great though, but he's sat and railing his mate Simon, which is brilliant.
Chilling, bringing cardigans back.
So on we go then.
So the
been
game
a good heads up. This genuinely been enjoyable to watch.
Especially how crippled Simon got as well to come back, and we've changed the game to high-low. So.
I mean, the good thing is actually, although the dealers might necessarily know what's going on, the two players certainly know exactly what's going on, and they're not going to allow any mistakes.
Yeah. So 10 and a queen. Bring in for John. Complete for Simon, and he's called this time. So it's Queen of Hearts v 10 of Hearts. Simon with the queen. Simon hits an 8, and John hits a 10. So John will take over the betting lead. This is high-low. So ace, really good card in high-low because it can play to both. But it goes check. Simon hits a 3, John hits a 10. So just a king, sorry. So John's board is now ace 10 king. Simon's queen 8-3. John pops out a bet. Simon calls. Simon hits a 10, and John gets a queen. So John's basically got 4 cards of Broadway showing. Simon just with that 8-3 queen 10 board. Popping out a call, which is very interesting. It says to me that
really big pot now, JP.
It's really big, and Simon's board's quite raggedy, so I'm surprised. So I'm guessing he maybe has trips or 4 to a low, but 4 to a low would be surprised with that call. So he has got the low. And
chop
it up.
Then, yeah.
John had ace king behind.
So JP, question for you: which of the 3 variants we're playing is the one where you're likely to get a bigger pot? Are they all the same, or is there one which is going to play more aggressive?
When he heads up, I've got very, very little experience. The logic would say high-low because you've got 2 possibilities of winning.
But that's
more
got
hands
obviously the potential of a split.
Yes, absolutely. So you've got more. But don't forget, you can never have it till 5th at the earliest. So even though you might get wedded to it at 4th. If you've got 4 low cards, especially if there's straight possibilities, flush possibilities in there, you're pretty much wedded to it in certain circumstances. During the main tournament, Rouse gets big because it's pretty easy to play. You know, you've not got to worry about flushes and straights, things like that. So we are back to second hand of high-low, and it's king via jack. So John's brought in with the jack. Simon's just called, kept it nice and disciplined. So Simon hits 6 of hearts, which gives him 2 hearts up, and John has king jack showing. It goes check check. 2 for Simon, 3 for John. So can we just put those 2 cards back in the deck, please, Pavel? They're shit. Try again. No, they play them, and it goes check check. And this time it's a 5 and a 10. 5 for Simon, 10 for John. John also has 3 clubs showing. He will have the betting lead with his king jack out kicking Simon's king 6. It's gone check, and Simon's checked it. So we'll go to 7th. John will have the betting lead, obviously, and we'll see what he does. Looks at the 3 down cards, has a think, goes for the check. Simon will think. Looking over, I'm not sure what he said to John. So John had a pair of 3s.
Pair of 3 is going to take it.
A pair of 3s is good enough. Simon's
3s are good enough. Wow.
Pretty much missed the world.
Wow.
I've been in situations like this so many times, Lee, where you just get back into it and then just seem to. And we have a whale. The Wales are back, so crowd from South London, I think. Gilly, Amit, Dave, all, lots of final tables last year, and there was a whale costume, and one of them was coming over with a silver medal and a whale costume. New face to me. Don't remember this guy from
no,
last year's Wales, but fair play.
He's donning the whale.
I know because I know that suit.
So the game has changed. We just played high-low, didn't we? So I think we're playing stud high. Simon brought in with a 3. John popped it up with a 10. Simon folded. Quick take there. Ooh, I like the look of that burger that's just been delivered to the APAT table.
So I think John's playing about 170,000 now.
Are we thinking that they're stacked in 20s now, though?
Yeah. So I think it's about 171 versus 150.
At least, I would say at least that, maybe a little bit more. It's got to be 100k in yellows there.
Yeah, maybe 180, 140 then.
Trying to keep up with what we're doing. I think it's stud high. Simon's had to bring in with a 6. John's popped it up with a jack. Simon folds, shows his cards. We started with 10 jack king, which is not bad. Not bad at all.
You might be there now, but he said we're not going to go any further. Yeah, we're not going any further than there.
Just to be staying at this level. Yeah. I'll just get that right.
Chris Webber now going for the sleeping, standing up approach. Tony Trippier's joined the rail. You switched to Red Bull, Chris. Just Red Bull? Yeah, very wise. So the game has changed to Raz, which means that Simon gets a really high card and John gets a low. It seems like normal serve has been resumed. That was happening a lot a while ago. And we're back to it. So that was our first hand of Raz. We'll have one more. Anti's go in. Do you want to change it? Should we suggest they change the game to pot limit stud? So second hand of Raz, and as I said, normal service. So it's a deuce for John. It's a king for Simon. It's about as good and as bad as it can be. And John chucks in the completion. Simon folds. So Tony Trippier, APAT legend Chris Webber. What do you think of Tony Trippier?
Tony fucking Trips.
That's the one.
So for those that don't know, obviously this is a stud game we're playing, and Tony Trippier once won a bronze in a stud tournament.
I thought he always won the bronze in stud. I presume he won bronze in this, even though he wasn't playing. Doesn't John just have to find him and give him that bronze medal? Or put it in the post for several months?
Yeah.
So we have changed the game to high-low, and we've got a couple of monsters, deuce for John and a 3 for Simon, both clubs. John will have the bring in. Simon reaches for chips and just makes the call. So it's brought it in, it's been called. And so it goes 6 for Simon, 2 for John. Remember, it's high-low, so it's interesting. King for Simon, 8 for John. So it goes check. Simon with the betting lead, having the best hand showing. John's going to fire out a bet. Simon doesn't like it, and he lets it go. Another small addition to John's stack there. No. Some water.
Just water?
Yeah.
Probably.
He's with it.
I'll get it.
I'm all over. Thank you. Second to last hand of stud high-low. Simon's going to have the bring in with a 4, and so Simon's got a jack on 4th, and John's got a deuce. So it's jack 4 of Simon versus jack deuce of John. It's gone check. Simon picks up a 3, John picks up a queen. John will now have the betting lead, best hand showing. Goes check. We're going to see 6 street, 8 for Simon, 7 for John. John retains the betting lead. So Simon has 3 to a low showing, which could make things interesting. Obviously, he's gone check. John will still have the betting lead. He checks. Simon reclines, looks at cards, stretches, and is checking. He's showing a pair of kings with a queen kicker. Oh, he's not. No, so both players, all 4 kings are out. Both players had a pair of kings. John's queen kicker plays. Small pot. Game's going to change to stud high. John Murray's joined the rail. I don't think people are railing because he's getting excited. I think they're just bored of other stuff. So stud high. Simon's got an 8. John's got a 7. John has the bring in, and Simon just calls. So we're gonna go off and see build a small pot to begin with. Simon, it's a 7, and John an ace. So John with ace 7 will take the betting lead. Simon's got 7-8. He's led out. Simon's called. It's 7-8 of spades showing. So interesting, guys. He's hit another 8, so he's paired his 8 on 5th. He will take the betting lead and he checks. John's got ace 2 7. Check to John. John's riffling and John checks. Off we go to 6. So now Simon's hit a 6 and John's hit his deuce, paired his deuce. So we've got 8s showing with a 6 and a 7 for Simon. Deuce is showing with an ace and a 7 for John. It's gone check. John's had a look at his hole cards again and he checks it back. So we'll go to 7th. Simon will have the betting lead. And Simon looks at his 7th card, plays with some chips. I get a little tickle from the TD, always appreciated. And Simon has checked, so action will go over to John. And he chucks it a bet. Chucks it a bet. No physical reaction from Simon. Reaches for chips, calls relatively quickly. John's showing some confidence for trip 2s. Simon shakes his head. Does not look happy, chucks his cards away, so that's a decent pot going over John's way, and Simon's back on life support. Big, yeah, just your co-commentator Lee updating him, but he saw it all. He sees everything.
I like to think I do, but I think there's times where I probably don't, yeah. This is now very much one-sided, isn't it? But you can fight back from this though, because we've seen players do that. This limit game, it's very easy to actually get a double up because it plays in all the streets. Because I guess the big stack feels like they need to call it down, because why wouldn't you?
Priced him.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Yeah.
So
it can change massively.
We're playing stud high. Simon had to bring in. I'm confused. John, yeah, Simon had to bring him with a 7 versus John's 8. It's 7-8 of hearts of Simon versus 8-6 for John. Simon's led out and John's folded. So 2 things went through my mind when you made that comment. Well, 1 thing went through my mind when you made the comment, Lee, which is we've been here before.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yes, exactly.
Did you see the look Simon gave you when you said it's very much against him? He was not having that. He was not having that. No. It was kind of like.
But we've seen that on this this table, and with other times we've had limit tables, limit games on the feature table. It can just turn around so quickly. The cards can just be running against you, and then they can run for you.
I thought Danny had totally lost the plot. He seemed to be interacting with nobody at all, but there was a man behind the screen he was actually talking to and doing funny gestures to.
Simon certainly won't give this up. Why? No, and why would you?
No,
absolutely not.
Never give up.
Never.
Not at this stage. So we are playing Raz. We've got a couple of decent Raz cards up. We've got a 6 and a 4 showing, but John had paired his 6. So when Simon pops it up, he quickly folds. So getting back slowly.
Two hands for two hands in a row, and it is a game of momentum, isn't it? It is a game of.
I'll make a bold prediction that if Simon, no matter how big the pot is, wins every hand from now until the end, he will win this tournament.
I will go with that.
Chris,
you're having mobile phones thrown at you know.
Do you want me to look after this, Chris? Yeah. So Chris, if you carry on doing that, it will end up like mine. No, it's be careful. Lots of things. Right, so it's a second hand of Raz. We've got a jack and a 10. Simon's had to bring in with a jack. John's popped it up. Simon shows that he had a king to go with his jack and folds. So that's the end of that mini streak. Back as we were.
But that was for pretty much the absolute min, wasn't it?
Chris just said some words to me and he looks genuinely angry. And grumpy. He looks like a man who's been drinking for a week and hasn't shaved in that time. We're now playing high-low, so Simon's going to have to bring in with a deuce showing. John's got a 7. And that's a... no, John has popped it up with his 7. Simon lets it go. Simon shows he has the ace. John had the ace deuce to go with it, so we'll take another small pot. And Simon, I mean, I think Simon's down at 40k. Simon's down at 40k. Yeah. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. Which puts John on 280.
Yeah.
So 7 to 1.
Massive difference, but
it doesn't take much.
No.
You know, if he can win a couple of hands, all of a sudden he's up around the 150 mark again, 150, 160, and then that's even stack. Yeah, that's how close this actually is.
So playing high-low, we've got to do this in a 3-up. So Simon's opponent gets the 3 and he still gets the bring in. This time John's just called, which makes sense, even in these stakes there. So Simon hits a queen, John hits an 8. Takes the lead, fires out, and John folds. So he gets a small one.
That's nice.
Of a small one.
Yeah.
If people are listening and we are sounding in any way slightly biased, we know Simon very, very, very well, but we are completely impartial. We've known John Seal many years, played loads of APAT, so I think it's partly the stack sizes as well are influencing.
Yeah, massively, yeah.
So the game has changed to stud high. Stud high. We've got an ace for Simon, a king for John. John's going to have the bring with a king. So we've got the reverse, exact reverse of what we just had in Raz on the stud high low, sorry, with the deuce and the 3. So Simon's popped it up with his ace of diamonds showing. John looks anguished, but John's coming along. So we're going to see fourth.
This has the feeling like it could be a decisive hand.
6 for Simon, king for 9 to go with his king for John. So Simon's bet, John's popped it up. It's going to be very hard for Simon to fold from here. I don't know if he's announced his raise. Yeah, it's all in.
This is going to be the hand.
We are all in. So with fourth, there's plenty of cards to come. So John has a pair of kings, 9-3. Simon has 8-6, 9-8. And now he's got a 10, so he does have a gut shot to the 7. John doesn't improve. And Simon now has a pair of 10s, so lots and lots of outs. There's 7s, there's 10s, and the dealer
it's going to be over.
Deals it face up. And it's all over. So Simon didn't improve. John's kings hold. John is our gold medalist, our winner. Well done, John. Nice one. That's it for that tournament, guys. There is the Mississippi Straddle tournament happening. Don't know if that's going to come over here. We don't think so at this stage. I'll have to wait and see timings, various other factors. So that may be it for tonight. So those that were tuning in, thanks very much. That's the end of the Triple Stud tournament. Thanks a lot, guys.
Probably about 3 or 4 feet. No, it's called. No, it's called. Okay, so I need it about 3 feet or something. Lovely. Lovely, thank you, mate.